The neon glow of the city felt miles away as Sarah and Mike walked down the desolate industrial road. Mike had his arm around her, trying to ignore the way the streetlights flickered and died as they passed under them. "I'm telling you, Mike, let's just call an Uber," Sarah whispered, her eyes darting toward the overgrown treeline. "This neighborhood is dead. Ever since those kids vanished at the casino, the whole place feels like a goddamn graveyard." "It's 2 blocks, babe. Stop being paranoid," Mike muttered, though his grip on her tightened. A metallic clank echoed from an alleyway up ahead. It wasn't the sound of a trash can tipping, it was the heavy, rhythmic thud of pressurized pistons hitting pavement. What the fuck was that? Mike froze. Out of the shadows stepped a figure that defied the darkness. It was nearly 7 feet tall, its fur a matted, oily blue that seemed to absorb the moonlight. A silk blue tie hung limply against its mechanical chest, and its eyes, glowing a predatory, artificial yellow, locked onto them with a sickening mechanical click. The dog's jaw unhinged, revealing rows of silver, serrated teeth that weren't meant for a singer. A low, distorted growl vibrated through the air, sounding like a recording of a dog played through a broken speaker. "Is that a fucking robot?" Mike stepped in front of Sarah, his voice trembling. "Hey, back off, I'll call the cops." The dog didn't back off. He tilted his head with a sharp whir, mimicking human curiosity. Then, his voice box sparked to life. It didn't bark, it spoke in a pitch-shifted, demonic version of a cheery mascot voice. "Saturday and Sunday are for play time. Mike, run, get the fuck away from it," Sarah screamed. Mike didn't get the chance. The animatronic dog lunged with a speed that shouldn't have been possible for a 19-year-old machine. A heavy, hydraulic hand clamped around Mike's throat, lifting his 200-pound frame off the ground like he was a ragdoll. Sarah watched in paralyzed horror as the dog's other hand, claws sharpened from years of impossible movements through the casino vents, tore through Mike's chest with a wet, sickening rip. Mike didn't even have time to scream, his lungs filled with blood before his heart could take another beat. The dog dropped the body and turned his yellow gaze toward Sarah. Behind him, more shapes emerged from the darkness. A chameleon with glowing eyes flickered in and out of the shadows, and a massive gorilla-shaped silhouette loomed over a nearby fence. The streetlights outside the Miller residence flickered, casting long, distorted shadows against the vinyl siding. Inside, the house was quiet, save for the hum of the refrigerator and the distant whistle of the wind. The father, David, stood at the counter pouring a glass of water. He rubbed his eyes, exhausted from a double shift. Suddenly, a high-pitched, melodic humming drifted from the darkened hallway. "Julie, is that you?" David called out, thinking his wife was up. No answer, only the sound of something heavy dragging across the hardwood. Scritch, scritch, scritch. David turned, and his heart nearly stopped. Standing in the doorway was a black and white figure, its glossy finish covered in a layer of street grime. It was Charcoal, the penguin pianist from the Diamond Casino. Her beak remained clamped shut, but a distorted, deep-pitched voice erupted from her internal speakers. "Is dinner served?" The voice boomed, vibrating the glass in David's hand. "What the heck is that?" David hissed, reaching for a kitchen knife. "How did you get in here?" Charcoal's eyes, cold and unblinking, locked onto him. With a sudden, jerky movement, she lunged. David swung the knife, but it skittered off her reinforced plastic shell. Charcoal's heavy flipper arm backhanded him, sending him crashing into the breakfast nook. Before he could scream, she was on him. She didn't use a weapon, she simply used her weight and the jagged, metal-reinforced edge of her flipper to crush his windpipe, the sound of cartilage snapping like dry kindling filling the kitchen. Upstairs, the mother, Julie, woke up to the sound of a heavy thud from downstairs. "David?" she whispered into the dark. She reached for her phone, but a voice stopped her cold. It was David's voice, perfectly mimicked, though slightly tinny. "Julie, come here, I found something." "David, stop fucking around, you scared me," she muttered, stepping out of bed and walking toward the landing. As she reached the top of the stairs, Charcoal emerged from the shadows of the linen closet. Julie's eyes widened. "Oh my God!" Charcoal shifted her pitch shifter to a shrill, piercing frequency that made Julie's ears bleed. The animatronic didn't hesitate. She drove her mechanical beak into Julie's chest, the serrated metal edges tearing through muscle and bone. Julie fell back against the wall, sliding down the wallpaper, leaving a thick, dark streak of crimson behind her. Charcoal stood over the body, her internal speakers emitting a low, rhythmic clicking sound, like a satisfied metronome. The door to the child's room creaked open. Little Toby sat up in bed, clutching a worn-out stuffed dog. He wasn't crying, he was curious. Charcoal stepped into the room. She was covered in the wet, iron-scented evidence of what had happened in the hallway, but as she approached the crib, her entire demeanor changed. The aggressive whirring of her servos softened into a gentle hum. She leaned over the railing. Toby reached out a small hand, touching Charcoal's cold, blood-stained flipper. "Go to sleep," Charcoal whispered, this time using a soft, motherly tone she had mimicked from a casino lullaby. She didn't lift a finger to hurt him. Instead, she stood guard by the bed, her glowing eyes watching the door, waiting for anyone, or anything, else to enter. To the world, she was a monster that had just slaughtered a family. To the child, she was the only thing left in the house that was still awake.